You say you want love, but every time it gets close, something in you pulls away. You shut down. You suddenly feel bored, irritated, or emotionally suffocated. You overanalyze your partner's flaws. You crave space like your life depends on it, and yet, deep down, you still want connection. You just don't trust what happens when you actually let someone in. Hi, I'm Jim Rohn, and if any of that feels painfully familiar, this video might just change how you see yourself and your relationship. Because the truth is, you're not emotionally unavailable. You're emotionally self-protective. There's a difference. What looks like disinterest on the outside is often a well-learned survival strategy rooted in avoidant attachment, an unconscious way of keeping love at arm's length to feel safe. But here's what no one tells you. You can't heal in isolation. That cool, independent version of you, it's a mask. A brilliant one, maybe, but also a lonely one. And it's time to gently question it. In today's video, How to Stop Running from Love, a healing journey for the avoidantly attached, I'm going to walk you through what avoidant attachment really is, how it forms, what triggers the shutdowns and the withdrawal cycles, and most importantly, how you begin to heal. You'll learn how to move from guarded to grounded, from distant to deeply connected, without losing yourself in the process. This isn't about fixing you, it's about understanding the protective layers you've built so you can soften them. On your terms. Because love doesn't have to feel like a threat, and intimacy doesn't have to mean giving yourself away. If you've ever asked, why do I always push people away just when it starts to feel real? This is where you start to find your answer. So stay with me until the end. And if this resonates with you, hit that subscribe button. Every week, I share tools and insights to help you unlearn the fear of closeness and build real, lasting connection. You don't have to keep running from love. You just need a safer way to walk toward it. One of the most powerful shifts we can make in healing avoidant attachment is learning to become conscious of the stories we tell ourselves, especially in moments of emotional closeness. So often, we're not reacting to the present, we're reacting to the past. Old scripts that run quietly in the background of our minds, shaping how we see others, and more importantly, how we see ourselves in connection. Maybe you've caught yourself thinking things like, this won't last, or as soon as I get close, they'll lose interest. Sometimes it's more subtle. You feel tension when someone texts back too quickly or wants more time with you. You start assuming they'll become needy, or that their affection will eventually become pressure. Without realizing it, you're bracing for abandonment or control or disappointment, not because it's actually happening, but because a younger version of you remembers it did. That's where the work begins. Not in fixing yourself, but in slowing down long enough to notice your automatic thoughts without automatically believing them. It takes courage to observe the internal voice that says, they're going to leave, and pause to ask, is that actually true right now? Or is that my fear speaking? Avoidant attachment isn't about not wanting love. It's about protecting yourself from the pain you associate with depending on someone. It's often rooted in environments where emotional vulnerability wasn't safe or welcome, so your system adapted. It learned to downplay your needs, to rely on logic instead of intimacy, to find safety in space rather than closeness. That pattern might have helped you survive before, but if you're watching this now, you're probably noticing it's starting to interfere with the life and love you actually want. And here's the honest truth. You can't change what you don't first understand. Becoming aware of your inner dialogue isn't just some fluffy exercise, it's the foundation of change. Because when you're unaware of the script, you live inside it. But when you start observing it, something incredible happens. You create space between you and your reactions. You get to choose instead of just react. This work starts in small moments. Let's say someone you're dating expresses genuine interest. Your first instinct might be to pull away, criticize something minor, or feel an urge to retreat into solitude. Instead of acting on that impulse, you pause. You notice the thought, they like me too much. That's a red flag. And you gently challenge it. Is liking me too much really the problem? Or am I afraid of being truly seen? That's the real work of rewiring avoidant tendencies. interrupting the autopilot. We're not here to shame the part of you that protects. We're here to invite curiosity. Why does closeness feel risky? What's the story behind your discomfort? Is it really about the other person? Or is it about the version of you that still remembers what it felt like when closeness wasn't safe? And let's be clear, this isn't about forcing yourself to dive headfirst into connection. Secure attachment isn't reckless, it's responsive. You're allowed to take your time, you're allowed to honor your need for space while still staying emotionally present. The goal here isn't to become someone else, it's to become more yourself without fear running the show. So often people with avoidant attachment carry a quiet loneliness that they don't know how to name. They tell themselves they're fine being alone, but underneath the self-sufficiency is often a longing to be known without being overwhelmed. And that's possible, but it starts with getting honest about the walls you've built. Not so you can tear them down all at once, but so you can learn when they're truly needed and when they're not. In this journey, self-awareness is the first and most essential tool. When you begin listening to the stories in your head with curiosity instead of judgment, you create the opportunity for something new, choice. You can choose to question the old narrative. You can choose to respond differently. You can choose to stay even just a little longer when your instinct is to run. And with time, those small moments of choice add up until the need to protect slowly gives way to the desire to connect. This brings us to the second and equally crucial step in healing avoidant patterns, learning how to stay present when the urge to disconnect kicks in. When you've spent years, maybe even decades, drifting away from intense feelings, slipping into your head or retreating behind a wall of detachment, being in the present moment can feel foreign, even uncomfortable. But here's the paradox. It's in those very moments, when your instinct says pull away, that you actually need to lean inward, not into the other person, but into yourself. One of the simplest yet most powerful tools for doing this is conscious breathing. Not just breathing in the automatic, shallow way we do throughout the day, but really noticing it, feeling it move through your chest, your belly, the rise and fall of your ribs. Grounding your awareness in the rhythm of your breath reconnects you to your body, and reconnecting to your body is essential if you want to move through the armor of emotional distance. When we get triggered, many of us live in our heads. We analyze, intellectualize, and problem solve, but we don't feel. We escape into thinking because the body is where the discomfort lives, but the body is also where the truth lives. Your emotions, those hard to pin down things like fear, sadness, longing, are not abstract ideas. They're sensations. A tight chest, a flutter in the stomach, a lump in the throat. And if you've built a habit of dissociating from those cues, you're likely missing the very information that would help you navigate relationships with more clarity and calm. This is where somatic awareness comes in. Being able to feel your feet on the ground, the weight of your body in the chair, the texture of your breath as it enters and leaves. These micro moments of presence don't seem revolutionary, but they are. They train your nervous system to stay with what's real, rather than retreating into what's safe. Personally, I know how easy it is to live on autopilot, especially if you grew up in an environment where emotions were too much or not enough. I spent years in my own life feeling like I was observing connection from a distance, never quite in it, always performing the role, never quite inhabiting the experience. And it wasn't until I began practicing what I now call embodied presence, simply learning to stay with myself through breath and body, that real change started to happen. I could finally recognize when I was about to detach, not so I could shame myself for it, but so I could gently come back to the moment, back to myself. This isn't a fix-all, and it's not about becoming perfectly zen overnight, but what it does is build a bridge between the automatic withdrawal response and a more grounded, intentional one. Every time you choose to breathe consciously, to feel the floor under your feet instead of reaching for distraction, you're literally rewiring your relationship to discomfort. You're teaching your nervous system that presence is safe, and that you don't have to run just because something feels intense. Over time, this gives you access to emotions that previously felt too overwhelming or slippery to hold. It allows you to feel rather than analyze your way through relationships. And this changes everything, from how you communicate to how you receive love to how deeply you can let someone in. So if you're someone who's always defaulted to intellectualizing your experience or numbing out with busyness or emotional distance, I want to gently challenge you. Start with the breath. It's free, it's always available, and it's the doorway back to a self that's fully alive. Healing from avoidant attachment isn't just about learning how to love others. It's about learning how to stay connected to yourself, especially in moments when everything in you wants to disappear. And that, more than any external fix, is the foundation of real, lasting change. The next step in this healing journey involves something deceptively simple, but deeply transformative. Learning how to speak from the body, not the story. You see, when emotions arise, especially the uncomfortable ones, anxiety, frustration, vulnerability, our reflex is often to explain them, to mentally trace where they came from, who caused them, and what it all means. But this habit of defaulting to analysis can actually pull us further away from ourselves, especially if we're avoidantly wired. Why? Because analysis lives in the mind while emotion lives in the body. And if we're serious about building emotional intimacy, whether with a partner, a close friend, or even with ourselves, we have to practice tuning into the physical reality of what we feel and then naming it. What does that look like? It's not telling someone, I feel this way because you did that. It's saying, right now, I notice tightness in my chest, or I feel a heat in my face, a shakiness in my legs. We start small, literal, physical. It's about dropping beneath the mental narration and into the actual experience of the moment. This isn't about oversharing or dramatizing our emotions. It's about describing what's real in real time. It may sound simple, but this shift from story to sensation is revolutionary for those of us who've lived largely in our heads, away from the vulnerability of feeling. One of the most helpful things I've seen in my clients and experienced personally is the way this practice builds trust. Not just trust with others, but trust with yourself. Because when you can name what's happening in your body without needing to justify or explain it, you begin to experience your emotions as something you can handle, not something to run from. This gives you emotional footing, and that internal stability is the foundation of secure connection. Think of it this way: when you share from the level of sensation, I'm noticing tension in my jaw, or there's a flutter in my chest, you invite others into your experience without blame, without pressure. You're not making it their responsibility, and you're not making yourself wrong. You're just being real. And ironically, this kind of grounded honesty is what often makes others feel safer around you. It's disarming. It opens the door to genuine connection because it's free from manipulation or emotional overload. It's simply, this is what I'm experiencing right now. Full stop. What this does is shift your entire relational dynamic. Instead of reacting with withdrawal, criticism, or emotional distance, your usual avoidant defenses, you begin responding with self-awareness and presence. Instead of saying, you're overwhelming me, you say, I'm feeling a bit tense in my body right now. One invites conflict, the other invites curiosity, even empathy. And listen, I know this might sound awkward at first. For many of us, especially those who've had to protect our emotional space growing up, putting language to bodily experience can feel clunky or exposed. But the beauty is, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're not aiming for eloquence, you're aiming for honesty. And the more you practice this kind of real-time, body-based communication, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you stop seeing your emotions as problems to solve or threats to manage, and start seeing them as data, as signals, as messengers from your inner world, offering insight instead of fear. So here's a simple invitation. Next time you feel emotionally activated, whether in a conversation with someone or just sitting alone, pause for a moment. Drop into your body. Ask, what's happening inside me right now, physically? Then name it, out loud if you can. And if you're in a relationship where safety allows, try sharing that experience with the other person. Not to fix it or make them do anything differently, but simply to be seen. Because healing avoidant attachment isn't just about learning how to stay, it's about learning how to be known without needing to disappear. As we come to the end of this video, I want to leave you with this. Healing avoidant attachment isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about finally becoming someone you can fully be, without fear, without shutting down, and without walking away from the love you secretly long for. We've explored a few key shifts today. First, the importance of noticing the stories we tell ourselves, especially the ones that keep us stuck in old protective patterns. Then, we learned how to gently return to the body through conscious breath and grounding presence. And finally, we practiced the art of expressing what we're feeling on a physical, somatic level, without judgment, without blame, just realness. These may sound simple, but don't let that fool you. They are foundational. These small, consistent practices are how you begin to rewire years, sometimes decades, of emotional distance. And you don't need to do it all at once. The work is not about perfection, it's about awareness, repetition, choosing presence again and again until it feels less like effort and more like home. If you've made it this far in the video, I want to thank you, truly. It takes a lot of courage to turn inward, to get honest about the ways we've learned to protect ourselves, and to start choosing connection over comfort. Whether you're here because you've recognized avoidant patterns in yourself, or because someone you love is struggling with emotional closeness, your willingness to reflect and grow is powerful. This journey isn't linear, and there will be moments when it feels easier to retreat. But remember this, every time you choose awareness over avoidance, every time you stay present when your body wants to shut down, you're healing something ancient. You're making space for real intimacy. You're choosing to be known. If this video spoke to you, if something clicked, or if it brought up new questions, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What part resonated with you most? What's something you're going to start practicing this week? Your voice might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Each week I share grounded insights, healing practices, and real talk about attachment dynamics and emotional growth, so you don't have to navigate this journey alone. If you're ready to stop running from love and start building secure, connected relationships, this is a space for you. Thanks again for watching. Take care of your heart, and remember, you're not too much, you're not too distant, and it's never too late to choose connection.